welcome back to Infinite Remote Control. I'm John, and I'm going to be basically giving you a run over of the initial setup of my high-speed Mini 8. So this is almost a 100% stock Mini 8. The only difference is that it has aluminum hub carriers and aluminum hubs in the front and rear, as well as aluminum arm braces in the rear, and my front braces were defective, so I need Horizon Hobby to send me some new ones. Yeah, so that's basically the only upgrades that I've done to this car. Now in terms of the high speed aspect of it, I'll just start running over what I have. So to start, we'll look at the battery. The battery is a Venom 1300 milliamp hour, 20C, 11.1 volt, so 3S LiPo battery, and it fits in there real nicely. It's a little bit too small in terms of the C discharge rating and also the capacity for the system that I'm running in this car, so I'm going to have to figure something else out. Maybe I'm going to have to go with a 1800 milliamp hour and a higher C discharge, maybe like 30C. Because whenever I run this car, once I go back past maybe quarter throttle, it just shuts off, and that's because it's not getting the amps that it needs. So the motor that I have in here is actually, let's flip the car around for you. It's a Tacon motor, and it's a boat motor, so it's 400 to 600 millimeter class boats, and it's got the 36 millimeter diameter, so it fits in there just like a Volinian motor, but it snugs up to the millimeter up against the servo. And I'm running a 23 tooth spur gear, or pinion gear, excuse me, right there, and then I'm also running a 45 tooth traxxas 1/16 scale spur gear, and I'll show you how I modded that in there. It's actually not too hard when you go ahead and look at how you do it. Let me cut this off real quick. It's not too hard to fit it in there, and it decreases the number of teeth dramatically. I think it came down 12 or 13 teeth, and I can actually fit in a 26 tooth pinion gear, which is what I'm gonna do next. So the main problem with this motor is that even though that it fits in perfectly, I can only use one screw to mount up the motor, because I don't have any screws that are small enough to go into the narrower mounting holes in the motor. But that's not really that big of a deal because it's only for high speed. But in terms of bashing, that is going to be a problem, and you're going to have to go out and hunt for screws at maybe your local hardware store or something, because it's not going to drop in perfectly with the stock hardware that this car comes with. I just smothered the screw and Loctite and tightened it up as tight as I could, and it really doesn't budge at all. Then the deal breaker for a lot of people with this motor is that it's got the 4 millimeter shaft, so you can not find pinion gears for this shaft size whatsoever. You can find it only mounts up to boat shafts, so you face a problem with this motor because they don't make pinion gears for 4 millimeter shafts, and they don't make shaft sleeves to adapt it to 5 millimeter shaft size. So what I actually ended up doing is taking this cheap pinion gear. It's from the Traxxas Evader, and it was the only pinion gear that was soft enough to actually drill through. We spent countless hours trying to figure out what drill bit might be able to drill through a Traxxas pinion gear, and none of them actually worked out. So we just had to go back to this pinion gear, and we tried to drill through it as straight as we possibly could to bore the hole, and it didn't line up perfectly. So there is a bit of wiggle, or a wobble on this pinion gear, and we actually ended up just using a 5 over 32 inch drill bit because we didn't have any metric drill bits, but it still slid right in there fine. And now you guys are probably wondering, whoa, what's this huge thing mounted right up here? Well, this is actually a 100 amp ESC, and I'm probably going to have to go ahead and take off this fan because it just makes it too big, and these capacitors are a bit oversized, I'd have to say, compared to, you know, the SV2 that's also a 100 amp ESC, and it would fit into this car much nicer compared to how this one ends up fitting into there. But you know, it works fine and it delivers ample power to this massive motor. And I'd have to say that it was probably going stock 3S speed at quarter throttle on 3S, if that makes any sense with this motor. Mainly because of the gearing, and this is a 50/50 kV motor, so that higher kV and, you know, just the better low down torque. And I also tightened up the spur gear entirely. This car was able to go easily 40 miles an hour at quarter throttle, so I have a goal of reaching maybe 90 miles an hour with this car, and I feel like it is a reachable goal just seeing the setup as is right now. Like I said, I'm going to have to go ahead and find a better pinion gear setup for this car, and I'm also going to have to find a better battery that will be able to fit in. What's coming up on this car is probably going to be 100% carbon fiber chassis, upper chassis brace, carbon fiber shock towers. All of that is going to be from Exotech, not the Losi, but actually Exotech. More aluminum team parts, and probably aluminum A-arms. I'm not going to go with the RPM on this, I don't think. Yeah, so that's basically the setup that I've got right now in terms of tires. I'm not really all too sure, and I actually, here, I'll show you this real quick. I built this really awesome RC track in a garage because we have 2 garages at our house, and one of them's not being used. So I built an RC track, and you'll definitely see a lot of videos. But I came off of a jump wrong and broke, let's see, I broke this wheel. So I would really not recommend buying off-brand tires from eBay. I'd go ahead and say get some quality rims, either these rims right here or the Traxxas rims. Those are really strong, I know. So yeah, that's basically what I have going on right now. I might go ahead and put on these much more racing tires, but they are a bit small in size. I know that the Toys carries these racing wheels for this buggy that adapt to any 2.2 size front buggy tires, so that I would lose the narrowness of the rear, but I could then adapt any front buggy tire. So that's going to be really helpful when picking out better tires for this for on-road use. So right now that's what the setup is. It's really held up nicely for the speed runs that I've done so far, but like I said, I need to find a better battery because it's not quite delivering. Also, the battery was very low on charge, so that might have also been a factor. I'll keep you updated with speed runs and other stuff with this car because I'm really excited, and I've ordered a lot of stuff from the Black Friday sale. Actually some new RCs, and I'll be putting up some videos over those, and I will be selling a couple cars to get some new stuff. So I'm excited about this upcoming probably 4 to 6 months, and I'm gonna try to change the whole perspective of what's really going on, and I'll tell you more in the RC Weekly for this week. So yeah, that's my Mini 8 high speed, and I'll talk to you guys later.